Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you a walkthrough on how to do your makeup. I feel like this is a super easy brown smoky eye, nude lip, highlight, looks great. Little just talk through video. I'm going to show you how to do a simple makeup look. I mean, I feel like this is simple, but it looks really nice. I don't use mascara in this video because I have false eyelashes on. And I don't really like using mascara because I don't like taking it off. Yeah, so I'm going to walk you through how to do this look and how to blend out your eyeshadow perfectly, how to match your foundation, everything really. I mean, I really hope that you guys enjoy this video and let's get into it. The first step for this look is going to be to start off with a basic moisturizer. Something that's not going to be too moisturizing because you don't want it to make your skin oily or feel too heavy. For this I use Picture Perfect Day Daily Moisturizer. I love this stuff so much. You can also use a serum for this too if you have like a daytime serum. I'm just going to go ahead and use this moisturizer. Moisturizing your skin before makeup I feel like is a really big part of how to start off with a great base because your skin's going to be moisturized and be more susceptible to blending in with that makeup. If you put makeup on top of like a dry surface or a dry patch, it could cling to that area more than the other areas. So if you have an evenly moisturized skin and face area, it'll all stick evenly and look better overall. So next, my biggest tip would be for primer to start off with a pore filling primer. This one's just the No Problem primer. It's from Sephora, but another one that's really good is the NYX Angel Veil. I do not have that one right now, but that's a really good drugstore option. You can get it like CVS or Walgreens or even Target. And when using this, you're gonna wanna warm it up between your fingers and press it into any areas where you have a lot of pores. For me, it's like my nose, my chin, and my forehead right here. So basically that's like the basic areas. Where to get it is your T-zone right here, like this area right here where people tend to be more oily. And pressing in is really gonna help fill in all those pores. Not a necessary step at all. Another really good primer that I like, I'm not gonna use this right now because I feel fine how my face is right now, is the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. Primer oil, sorry. I really love that stuff. I feel like it makes my skin look so nice. It can be a little bit scary to use an oil underneath your makeup unless you're used to it. Like, I know that the first time I did it, I was super hesitant towards using an oil just because I didn't think it would go good under my makeup and maybe would make my makeup slip around a little bit. But that's more of a dry oil, I feel, so it feels like a dry texture on your face. It doesn't feel oily or super greasy, so I really like the Smashbox Primer Oil. I'm not going to use it today though, but that's a really good recommendation. So another great tip is to start off with your eye makeup first if you're not super advanced at doing the rest of your makeup, because sometimes there's fallout, which means when the colors that you're putting on your eyeshadow fall onto the rest of your face, your nose, anywhere else, you know, and that can really cause a bad situation if you already have the rest of your face done and then color goes onto your face and it's not where you want it. Like if you're doing brown on the eye, how I'm doing today, and you get it right here where your highlight and blush should be, that's not gonna look cute. So I always recommend, I always recommend starting off with your eyes when you're a beginner and even when you're more advanced because it's just easier that way. For the eyeshadow palette that I'm going to use is the Modern Renaissance eyeshadow palette. This one's by Anastasia Beverly Hills. It has a lot of simple colors in here that I feel like are basics that you need. Like a lot of different browns, tones of browns, and also pops of color like pink and red and orange, which are, I feel, some of the easiest colors to work with when you're starting off with trying to dabble into color or something a little bit more advanced. I mean, there's a little purple right here. You have your basic shimmer colors, nothing that's like too out there like the other one I just used the other day, Lucid. That one's from the Prism palette. That one's a little bit more out there. These are like just a gold and a lighter champagne color. That's pretty much all you need. This is something that I feel like is a necessity palette. Another thing, talking about makeup brushes for beginners, would be blending brushes. Those are the key. That means a big fluffy brush like this for your eye can really make any look go from 0 to 100 really quick. If you're trying to apply a color in your crease with a packer brush like this and you're packing it on there, it's only gonna go where you're putting it. It's not gonna have a soft, even airbrush effect that we're looking for. So if you use a blending brush like this, you can go ahead and buff your color in. It's gonna make it, that's what I'm thinking in my head, like just an airbrush effect where we're going from lightest to darkest. And I feel like blending brushes are really something that attribute to that, and once I started using them, I saw a huge difference in my makeup. I always mention this in all my videos. This is the Color Switch by Sephora. I absolutely love this. I didn't know I needed it until I had it. And this is literally, you just take your brush without washing it. I mean, you obviously still have to wash your brushes, but if you dip into, say, a red shade and you want to go back into a lighter shade, you go in here and just swivel it around a little bit and go into the other shade, and there is no color transfer between each shade. So this is something that is super important, I feel like. That's it for talking about eyeshadow. I do use eyeshadow bases, like an eyeshadow primer. You can always use something that is intended to be an eyeshadow primer, like the MAC paint pots. I really like these. I love the shade Soft Ochre. Those are really good, but they're more pricey. Another thing is using a concealer. There's nothing against that. I'm gonna use a concealer today. That's totally fine. I use a concealer all the time. I just put a little dot and then we'll blend it in with my beauty blender, or even you can use a brush. That's just a nice even canvas for you to start working on. I will set that sometimes with a just like a basic color to set over that so that it's not still sticky when I'm applying my colors. You can use a translucent powder. That's something that I use all the time. You can use a lighter shade from your palette. You can use the shade that you use all over your face. You can really use anything for that. I'm gonna take just a fluffier brush and a little bit of translucent powder. This one's by Laura Mercier. They sell them at the drugstore too. And just pack that on a little bit, just to get rid of the tackiness from the primer that we put down. Priming your eyes is really important. I think I forgot to say this, just because it gives you a blank canvas to work with there. It makes your eyes all the same color. I mean, I have a little bit of veins on my eyelids and a little bit of shadowing in where my crease is, so that can affect a look if I'm trying to do a different color than the natural shade that I have in there. If I'm doing a brown look like I am today, it's totally fine. I don't need to make my eyelids all the same color because I already have that natural color there. But it's just something that I like to practice, to make my eyelids all the same color. Starting out with a transition shade, this is going to be the shade that really just starts off your whole look. It goes above the crease, and this is going to be the lightest shade that you're going to use besides a highlight shade. So for that, I like to use the shade Burnt Orange right here. I love this shade. When I'm doing no makeup looks, I'll just buff this all over my crease, and I really love the shade. Like, I'm going to run out of it. I'm just taking a Bobbi Brown blender brush, and I'm going to put this right above my crease and just blend that in. Now that that is buffed out all over my transition area, I'm going in with a slightly smaller blending brush and a slightly darker shade. So for that, I'm going to use the shade right here. Why can I not pronounce that? Realgar? I kept thinking rectangle. Wow, that makes me look so stupid. Okay, Realgar right here. I'm going to use this one. And for doing it in the crease, I take my brush, I point it upward, we'll place it where I want it, and then dig it in the crease. It's kind of a hard concept, but once you do it, you'll get it. So I place it like on my eyelid like that, and we'll just push it in the crease and back and forth. And that, for me, gives me the perfect place for a crease color. Now taking an even smaller blending brush and a darker shade, I'm using Cypress Umber right here. This is a dark brown, and I'm going to focus it on the outer edge of my crease. So I'm putting it in the same way as I did the other brush into my crease, and I'm just going to focus it on the outer edge and really smoke out and blow out that outer edge, and then once it's all smoked out, I'm going to start bringing the shadow in so that it's a tapered looking effect. When I'm packing a color and trying to buff it into a certain area, I use small circular motions. I'm just moving the brush in circles to try and buff out a certain area without bringing it too far. If I'm going in the crease and trying to move color to a different area, I will do windshield wiper motions, just going back and forth like this, and that I feel is the two techniques that I really use for blending eyeshadow. Another huge thing is to hold your brush at the end. If you're holding your brush at the front like this, I think I've mentioned this before, it's harder to get a soft blend. You have a ton of control over the brush, and that's not something that you want. I mean, you still want to control where your color goes, but if you're holding it at the tip or the end, your brush can move more freely, and really, I feel like that is a huge key. I know I keep saying that everything's such a huge key, but this one really is. If you're holding it at the end and your brush has more free motion to move with the shape of your eye and blend out colors more effortlessly, it makes such a huge difference, honestly. For my lid shade, I'm gonna do an all matte look, so no shimmer colors on my lid, just because I've really been feeling that lately. I like that a lot better. When I do use a shimmer look, or a shimmer color, I will use a more tightly packed brush. As you can see here, this one's denser and better for like packing on a color. When I'm using a matte shade, I like it to look more blown out, so I'll also use a packer brush, but as you can see, this one, it's loose. It's more loose when in packing, so you can really just fluff on a color so that it doesn't look packed on like a shimmer shade would. For my lid, I'm just gonna go back in with burnt orange. That's the simplest thing I feel like to do, is go in with the transition shade. And I'm just filling in any sparse areas I have here with that shade. I'm not completely wiping it on my lid because I still want it to look like an airbrush effect going from the crease down to my lid. So I'm just gonna pack it on in areas where I feel like I need it. Next, I'm going to start on my face makeup, and I do go under my eyes with eyeshadow. That is honestly the simplest process ever. You just take a small brush and any color that you feel like would tie in the top to the bottom and blend it out on there. It doesn't have to be precise at all, but I do put my face makeup on first because that one has less chance of getting fallout, and it looks a lot better if you're blending it on top of your concealer because it looks more seamless. So I don't have any fallout right now. You can always use a makeup wipe and just clean up under your eyes and even on the sides here. I like how it looks a little bit blended right there. Plus I connect that to my lower lash line, and that I feel like makes a more effortless look. You can always clean it up and make it sharp right there. I just don't prefer to do that. So we did already prime our skin. A foundation that I would really recommend starting off with is a lightweight foundation. If you go in with a straight super high coverage foundation, if you don't have your exact shade or don't know how to match your exact shade, it's gonna look really weird because it's so high coverage that none of your skin will be peeking through, so it will look exactly like the shade you picked, and if it's completely different than your body, it's gonna look really weird. So I use the NARS Sheer Glow. I'm in medium 1 shade Punjab, and I really love this one. It's so good. I feel like it makes my skin look really even. I do have a couple acne scars and a little bit of acne bumps, but it covers it enough for me, and if I need a little bit more, I can just go over it with concealer. Another way though to make your sheer, because this is called Sheer Glow, it's a sheer coverage foundation, is I start by using a brush. This is the Kat Von D foundation brush. I will go over all my spots and blend it in with this first, and then go in with the Beauty Blender, and I can go back and pack on certain areas if I feel that I need to, and again blend it out. I feel like that makes it look really airbrushed and more natural if you're going in with a brush first and then a Beauty Blender. If you have to pick between the two, go straight Beauty Blender, because this is gonna make you just look so much better than a brush. If you're using a brush and going in these motions, which I do, is going to leave streaks on your face, and that's not gonna always look so effortless, and it's not gonna look that great if you have paint streaks going down your face. So using a sponge, a Beauty Blender is really recommended. I know there's one on Amos, I think that's what it's called. It's like the website that has all $1 makeup. There's a pink sponge on there that I heard is super comparable to the Beauty Blender. And even the Eco Tools one, that one's sold at Ulta and I think drugstores too. That one's really good, and the Beauty Blender is just so good. Like, I don't know what they put in this little thing, but it is so good that it's hard to be beat. So I would really just invest in a Beauty Blender. I love the Beauty Blender. I mean, I know it's a lot, but I think it's worth it. So I shake my foundation so that it just pop with it, like comes up a little bubble on the top, and I can just pat the foundation on my brush. I'll go through and I'll leave streaks on my face and just kind of buff it in with this brush. I'm not going to be too precise. I'm just going in and applying the foundation to my face.